Right, now we're in part 2 of assignment number 7, which I may have called assignment 6 at some point in the previous video, but assignment 7. In part 1 of the video, we modeled a bug inside 3ds Studio Max. We created and animated a pair of wings for it. We used a UV map to add a texture to those wings. Then we exported as an FBX file, including the animation and the materials. We brought that FBX into Unity. We set the rig type for the animation to legacy, and then we modified the name of the animation clip to wings flapping, and we modified the beginning and ending frame of the animation to create a smooth animation. Alright, that's all preface. Here we are in part 2. In this case, I've actually got our bug here inside our virtual world that we created on assignment number 6. Remember, we have the custom cursor that we made, and I'm using the customized FBS controller that we have from a couple assignments ago. So you'll see I still have the rollover working here for the objects so that the cursor turns red when we roll over it. Okay. Now for assignment number 7, you're going to need to make a few modifications to our animating object. First of all, a requirement of the assignment is that when the game starts, the bug should not be animating. It should just be sitting there. Then, if the player rolls over the bug with the mouse and clicks on it, then the animation should start playing as a loop. Also, when the player clicks on the bug, a sound should start playing. And then finally, you should add a blob shadow on the bug that appears down on the ground. All of these things we did in class, and now we're going to do them as part of the assignment. You can earn an extra credit point on this assignment by adding an additional feature, which is that each time the player clicks on the bug, the material on the bug changes. You can either change the body material or the wings material or both, and it should change every time the player clicks. You can choose 2 or 3 different textures that rotate through. I'm not going to show that in the video. That's up to you as an extra credit if you wish on the assignment. So let's get to the pieces that we do need. First of all, right now we've got our animation playing automatically, so we need to turn that off. If you look over I've got the bug selected here in my game view, in my scene view, and here it is in the game. And then if I look over in the inspector to the animation component, you'll see that it says plays automatically. So let's deselect that. We don't want it to play automatically. Instead, we want to have it play only when we roll over it. So let's create a new script. I'm going to come down to my Adventure Scripts folder. You'll see a bunch of scripts we've had in there from previous assignments. Choose Create, choose JavaScript, and I'll call this Anatest. It's the same name as the script that we created in class. In fact, you'll be able to use the script that we created in class for your assignment. So rename it, open it up in Unity. In MonoDevelop. This will take just a second for this to appear. Here we are with our Anatest JavaScript file. And I'm going to copy the script that is in the PowerPoint that we used in class, and I'll just replace all the stuff that is in there by default. We've got a public variable called AniClip that is going to contain an animation clip. Then we're doing just a simple mouse down function. It's going to print name plus picked for animation name. And then we're going to play the animation clip. If that makes any sense at all, then we're in good shape. Actually, for the assignment, you don't really need to have this first start part. I'm just going to go and get rid of that. We had that in class when we were messing around with the script. But we just simply need to make it so that the animation begins to play, and then the animation that plays is the animation clip. This JavaScript file is going to be attached to the bug. So the bug object will know that it it will look for to itself for the animation, and it will play the animation with that name. So I'll save that. Come back into Unity. Here's that anatest script. I'll drag and drop it on top of my bug. And there it is. It needs to know which animation clip. Well, the animation clip that it's going to play is this wings flapping animation, so I can just click and drop that on top of there. Now when I hit play, you'll see that nothing is happening at the beginning, but when I click on it, oh no, still nothing happening. So what do we need to do? Do you remember in class we talked about in order for an object to react to a mouse over, it needs to have a collider attached to it. So I've got my bug model selected. I'll come up to Component, Physics, and choose, let's choose a sphere collider. Makes sense. It's going to cover mostly the body, which is what I want to be able to click on. That's fine. So I'll click play again, come down, click on it, and now it starts flapping. It'd be nice if I had my cursor change color like it did in the previous assignment, so you can make use of the script that you already had on that. If you remember, it was the Interactor script or the Interactor Advanced script. I'll just simply use the Interactor script for now, drag that up onto my bug, look over in the inspector and remind myself that it's looking for the game pointer object, so I'll grab that and drag it on there, click play again. Now when I roll over it, it turns red, and when I click on it, it starts to play. So that's part of assignment number 7. Another thing it's supposed to do is play a sound. So we're going to modify our animation test script a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to add one line, which is this: if get component audio source audio play. So what this is saying is that if that bug model includes an audio source component, then we'll play the sound that is with that audio source component. So let's do that now. So I'll save that. Come back in here, select my bug object. Right now it has no audio source associated with it, so it won't work. So let's add one. Component, audio, audio source. Then you'll see down in the middle section here, I've got the audio source section. I need to point it to an audio clip that's going to play when the player clicks on it. So, as part of what we did in class, we had a collection of assets that I asked you to download from the Blackboard site for Week 7 and for Assignment 7. It was called Chapter 7 for Week 7. If I expand that out, you'll see in here we have our animation tests. That's what we did inside class. And we have a folder called Test Sounds. I'm simply going to select that here and then come over to my project view, and then I'm simply going to drag it and drop it into my project. Alright, watch where it is you save it. In my case, I ended up dropping it down into standard assets, which is fine. Test sounds, there it is. Expand that out, and you'll see we've got a collection of sounds here. If I come back up to my bug 4, look down to the audio source section, I'll play a ding when I click on it. I don't want to play on a wake, that will automatically play it, and I don't want to loop. So I'll turn off play on a wake, leave everything else as it is. Now when I click play and click on this, you may not be able to hear it inside the recording, but it did a little click, a little ding when I clicked on that object. Finally, for the assignment, I've got the animation playing when I click, I've got a sound playing when I click. The last piece is that this bug needs to have a blob shadow component associated with it. In your file, you should already have the projectors package in there because we brought it in class. But if for some reason you don't, you can go to Assets, Import Package, and choose Projectors. That will decompress a whole bunch of files, and then it will ask you if you want to import them. You say yes, go ahead and import them. It stores all of those projectors inside the standard assets folder. Here it is, projectors. I expand that out, and you'll see I've got one here called Blob Shadow Projector. That's the one I want. I can come up and simply drop that onto my bug, so it becomes a child object in the bug. There it is right there. In order for this to work properly, we're going to need to create a new layer that will be a layer that our projector will ignore when it is projecting its shadow. So I'm going to just click on my bug object. Doesn't actually matter what you click on. Come over to the inspector, grab the layer drop down, choose add layer, come down and name that layer whatever you like. I'm going to call it no blob, or maybe I'll call it no shadow. That sort of makes sense. Alright, I've created a layer, but I haven't actually put this bug object onto that layer. So I'm going to come select the bug object again, come over to layer and choose no shadow. It'll ask me if I want to change the children as well. Yes, I do. Come back to my blob projector, and then come over here and ignore layers in the middle in the section here. Choose ignore the no shadow layer. Then we need to pay some attention to how this layer is rotated. So if I look at it right now, it's pointing off to the side. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to rotate it down so that it's pointing down at the ground. And I can see it looks a little small, so I can mess with the near and far clip plane. Don't really need to mess with the clip plane so much. 50 is saying that it's going to project up to 50 meters away, which we definitely don't need. You could set that to like 5. It's probably good enough. The field of view, though, you can expand that out, and it will then expand the size of the shadow, as you can see. So I'll make it roughly about that. So we can set it to something even. I'll just say 60. Okay, and I'll leave the other settings as they are. Seems to work just fine now. It's not showing up as a shadow on top of my bug. I can hit play. And when I move, I can see that there's a shadow now underneath that, a blob shadow. Essentially a sort of a fake shadow that I can use inside my game. When I click on it, I get a little ding, and it plays. That's it in terms of what you need to do for assignment number 7. What you need to submit for the project is a zip file including the published version of your application. So I go to Unity, if you remember, and we're going to go to Build Settings, and I'm going to add the current scene, and I'm going to get rid of any other scenes that may be existing in there. Save it to save out to PC, and I want the x86 architecture, and I can check my player settings. I don't want this to default to full screen. I can choose to display the resolution dialog or not. I'll leave that up to you. You'll remember in assignment number 6, this is actually 7, but I called it assignment 6, we had a script to set the resolution to 1024 by 768. Okay. This is really confusing. So before I build this out, I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to save my scene as, and I'm going to call it what it should be, which is assignment 7. That's for the assignment we're working on. Save that into my scene folder. Click OK. Now I'll go to File, Build Settings, add the current scene, remove the assignment 6 scene. All my settings should be the same. Build that out, paying careful attention to where it is I'm saving this. To make life simple, I'll save it up to the desktop, calling it assignment for Nelson. It will compile the whole thing out. Okay. I can exit out of Unity. because I'm on a Mac, I'm not really going to be able to check if this works, and it's going to be super important that I actually check to make sure it works. So I'm going to hunt for the data for that folder and zip it up and name it appropriately. Somehow I managed to name it assignment 4. Ha ha ha, it's assignment 7. But I'll take those files and then I'll put them into a zip file. And then I'll submit that zip file using the submission link. And that's it for assignment number 7. Good luck and have fun.